Hey guys, so today I have a little bit of a different video for you. We are in my hometown right now, and this is, where I lived when I was in school age, from elementary all the way through high school, and sometime after high school as well. I waited until I got off the highway to start filming because I realized that my car chats, you guys love them, but there are a few of you that are bothered when I'm driving and talking. So I waited till I got off the highway, and I'm getting close to my high school because I really want this video to be heard by people. And I don't want them to be worried that I'm driving, so we're getting close, so it's not going to be a ton of me driving. But, I had this video planned for a while now, but I wanted to wait until I had a little bit of a better idea of when a good time to post it would be. And I think right now is a great time to share this video with you guys. So that's what I'm doing today. And I apologize for the poor lighting, but it's very gloomy. It's actually really warm outside, but it's very gloomy here today. It was sunny earlier, but I was filming other videos and couldn't get out of the house in time. So it's all good. So let's talk about, there's a lot to unpack with this one. Let's talk about my high school experience. First of all, I want to tell you guys a little bit about my time leading up to high school because I think that makes more sense. So, growing up, I always had a lot of good times in elementary school. I liked elementary school. I had, a good group of friends. I had friends in my neighborhood and got along with a lot of kids. And I think that there is something to be said when a child has a large group of friends when they're in elementary school and even into middle school. And then once they get to high school, things change. And I think it speaks to how kids change as they get older. And I think it's a combination of them being a product of their environment at home, but also feeding off of their other peers at school. So kids can be, it's like when they're young, when you're young, you don't have that tendency to be mean to other kids because all that you know is everyone getting along. And I'm sorry if this is a little rambly, but it's a whole lot of thoughts, so bear with me. So, my time in elementary school was great. And then I went into middle school. So, my time in middle school is where things sort of started to change a little bit for me. And I noticed that in middle school is where the cliques started to form. And it wasn't too bad. It really wasn't too bad at all. I still had a few friends. And I was still friends with the kids in my neighborhood because the house that I grew up in, I had friends in that area. happened was I'm gonna park right over here. I'm probably crooked, but who cares? So what happened with me was at the end of 8th grade, we moved out of the house that I grew up in. And when we moved out of the house that I grew up in, the few friends that I had in that neighborhood, I lost touch with because we moved to another school district. So the high school that I was going to, those kids that I grew up with were not going to that school. And by the time I started high school, I had realized that, A, and B, I also had realized that a couple of the people that I did know were changing. And people change, you know, especially at that age. I remember leading up to my first day of high school, you know, we had just moved into a different house, and there were a few things happening in my life at that point. It was a combination of being really nervous to go to a school where I really didn't have any friends, and the few people that I did know, I didn't know if they would befriend me or whatever. So there was a lot of anxious energy in me at that point. And the summer of before 9th grade, I was not only feeling very nervous about high school, but then my dog died. Literally, it was either a week before or the week of starting high school. And then my grandfather died. So I think all of that combined with being a teenager and having all of these feelings, I sort of started high school maybe not on the best foot. And home life was great, but I just had a lot going on, and it all kind of hit me at once. And if you guys know anything, you know that my dog is everything. So that was the dog that we had from the time I was 2 years old. She was a yellow lab. She was the best dog ever. And so she passed away. My grandfather passed away, which was my first funeral that I attended, that I had vivid understanding of what was going on at that funeral. So I had been to a funeral when I was like 12, but it was for like a great aunt. I didn't know her very well, and I only went because I had to. So either way, part of the other problem when I started high school was that I've never been good at school. I didn't get great grades in middle school, and I realized that high school was going to be even harder. And my dad always wanted me to get very good grades. So it wasn't a situation where I felt like I could just slack off. I had to figure out how to get good grades, how to be social, how to do all of this stuff. And my friends that I grew up with were too far away from my house now for me to surround myself with anyone that I knew. It was a very weird time. So I remember the first day of high school, going and, you know, I had gotten my schedule, and I was just so nervous. I was nervous about everything. I was scared that I wasn't going to be able to open my locker. I was scared of who was going to be in my class. I was scared of not getting good grades. I was scared of going to my first pep rally because I was just an awkward kid. And there's nothing wrong with being an awkward kid, and that's something that I really want to make it a point in this video. I was not I was not one of the popular ones, or one of the kids that always had the coolest clothes. I had a big issue. It didn't really matter in middle school, but by the time I got to high school, I had not the best teeth. So this tooth right over here, it used to be like out and almost overlapping my front tooth. And I remember kids in high school would make fun of my tooth and say that it was like a can opener or something, when in retrospect, that's such a stupid insult to make. But again, these are kids. What do you expect? So my confidence was really low. I didn't have all the popular clothing. Once in a while, I remember I used to beg my grandma to take me to Abercrombie because my dad was like, no, I'm not buying $98 jeans for a freshman in high school. And I remember a few times she would take me there and buy me stuff, and that would be the stuff that I would wear just to attempt to fit in. It was such a bizarre thing to go through, like asking my grandma to spend way too much money on these clothes just so that I would fit in. So I remember, freshman year starting, and I remember my dad encouraging me to go to one of the football games. Where I grew up, football at my high school was the biggest deal. It was sort of like that movie Varsity Blues, where, if you were on the football team and if you were one of the football cheerleaders, you were recognized and you were applauded for no apparent reason sometimes. So I remember he encouraged me to do that, and I probably made up some kind of excuse, like I wasn't feeling good or something, because I used to do that a lot, just because I knew that I would go and I wouldn't have anyone to talk to. So why would I want to go when I can just be safe at home? I remember going to my first pep rally, and by the time that happened, all the cliques had already formed. So you had the popular cheerleader clique, you had the preppy clique, you had, just the goth clique. You had all of these cliques that had already formed, and then you had the outliers like me who didn't fit in really with any of those cliques. So those are the kids that are left out because they don't have the cool clothes and they're not on the football team or a cheerleader. And it's sad. It really is sad. And when you have a child that has social anxiety, just sending them out and telling them to go make friends, that's not how it works. And when you have kids who will not accept the outliers into their circle, that's where you create a bad environment where the kid is just going to be friendless. And that's essentially what happened during my time in high school. I remember after I went to the first pep rally, and it was, pretty clear that it just wasn't going to be for me, I started hiding when there would be pep rallies. So I would either ask my teacher if there was something that I could do for extra credit, or I would hang out in the bathroom so that I wouldn't have to be put in that situation where I had nowhere to sit. And speaking of nowhere to sit, my other second, actually it happened every day. So my first unfavorite thing was lunchtime. Now, during the time when I wasn't driving when I didn't have my license, lunch was anxiety inducing. It was the worst because, again, same thing. Everyone's clicked up, and when you have a kid who doesn't really have a whole lot of friends, they're the ones sitting at the lunch table by themselves. So why would they want to do that when they can try to stay in the classroom or hide? There were many days where this is like so sad and pathetic when I think about it, but there were days where, my dad didn't give me money for school lunch. He would always pack my lunch. And there were definitely a lot of days that I just ate my lunch in the bathroom. And that's so sad, because I think about, if it happened to me, I know that there are so many other kids that are in the same situation. Once I got through the first few months of my freshman year, I realized that the one area that I had not really explored was joining the drama club. And I feel like it's a running joke that, all the outcasts are in the drama club. But I didn't care, because I was an outcast. So I ended up joining drama, and I didn't want to be on stage because way too embarrassing, but I could do tech. So what I started doing was the tech side. It's on the tech side, but I started doing makeup for the plays. And when I started doing that, it was the best thing that could have happened to me. When it comes to my time in drama, I really like drama. And I earned a couple of friends by doing drama, which was great. It was actually really funny because the camaraderie that I would see among people that were in drama club was like something that I didn't see anywhere else in the school. You could be weird and you could come in with your black nail polish and be a nerd or whatever, and we all just got along. It was so awesome. So drama club is something that I'll always be thankful for, because I was able to gain a few friends through being involved in drama. It didn't help any of my other time as far as having to be in classes and stuff, but I was able to get a couple of friends. Time went on and I continued being involved in drama and, doing makeup, and it was really cool. I felt like I was accepted, and I felt like, people were nice to me that were in drama, which was really cool. So as the time went on, I continued to hide in social situations and not go to anything, really. I went to one homecoming, and it just so happened that I was able to go with a couple of my friends. So I went to one homecoming, nothing else. I didn't want to be around these people any more than I had to be, because as the time went on, the jokes, they all thought it was hilarious to make fun of the girl with the fucked up teeth, the girl with the acne, the weirdo who's always sitting by herself. If and when she's, in the cafeteria, she's sitting by herself. So, as time went on, aside from my couple friends that I gained through drama, I also had a childhood friend who initially acted like she was too cool for me, but then sort of came around, and I started hanging out with her again, and that's a whole nother story. But essentially what it turned into was me hanging out with her but doing all the wrong things, if you know what I mean. So that wasn't really a per se productive friendship, but I was so hungry for friends that it was fine. Who cares what we do? Let's just hang out and, get in trouble. So that wasn't really very productive. But as time went on, I never, the popular kids continued to get more and more popular, and that was fine. So I continued. I was a loner pretty much my entire time in high school, aside from the couple of friends from drama and then my childhood friend that I had. But even then, I was always the outsider. And once I was able to actually drive is when I was able to escape high school. And once let's drive over here because it's getting kind of dark and I don't want to lose all the light because I want to show you guys a couple things. The whole thing is once I got my license is when the trouble really started, because then I was able to skip school, and if I could skip, I was going to skip. It did not matter. Nothing mattered, because I was going to skip school. And I want to show you guys this right here. I would never go out the front door, obviously, but I would go out this back door. Let's go see if we can look inside the school. So I'll show you guys, but you could see like right into those doors. So I would come out of those doors and I would walk around, because I would park my car. I would park on that side street. And then get out of here, There's all these stairwells in this school where, you would have people just doing disgusting shit in the stairwells. It was a mess, you guys. So I'll show you guys. So that loading dock right there, that is attached to the auditorium. And during drama, we would come out and sit on that loading dock and just hang out and talk. I remember in drama, there was a thing upstairs above the auditorium where they would keep all of the old costumes and props and stuff. And we would hang out up there and stuff all the time. Once I figured out that I could skip and get away with it, I had no desire to be at school. And I ended up getting in a ton of trouble, and it was, really bad. It's not something that's good for the student, but at the same time, when you're dealing with an environment that is not welcoming for a kid, if they can leave and not be there, then that's what they're gonna do. When it comes to bullies, a lot of times people are, there's different degrees of bullying. when it comes to high school and after high school. Just because you're not being hit and, locked inside of a locker, that doesn't mean that you were not bullied. Because being bullied can be the relentless teasing and the relentless, being shut out by people who feel like they're more important than you. I get really tired of hearing oh, well, that's not really bullying. No. There are different degrees of bullying, and some are much worse than others, and I completely understand that. But you should not try to discount someone else's story just because it wasn't the worst of the worst. A lot of people like to look back on their high school experience and think of all of the really great times that they had, and I'm sure a lot of people did have really good times. My high school experience was not that. So the moment that I was able to get out of there, I was gone. My grades were consistently struggling. I never got good grades, especially when once I got to high school, my grades were not good. I would do okay in like English and history, but aside from that, no bueno. And that was another thing, I failed biology 2 years in a row, and that was another thing that I was teased for. I was having to, take biology when all of my peers were not in biology. So, I'm the dumb one because I failed biology. It just really sucks. So, senior beach week and all that stuff that people did, and I did not do anything social outside of school. There were a couple of social events that I went to, parties, later in high school, but they were not with kids from my own school. They were kids from a neighboring high school, so that I could go there and nobody would know who I am. Nobody would know that, I'm the outsider that probably shouldn't even be invited. So, I think a lot about, well, what's the answer? What is a solution to stories similar to mine and also much worse than mine? And I would say one of the biggest things would be, a lot of it comes down to kids not being taught that, you need to be nice to everyone. You can't just, don't just be nice to your fellow athletes that are on your basketball team or your football team or your fellow cheerleaders. Be nice to everybody. Don't tease people because they're not wearing Abercrombie or whoever. Don't tease people. Be nice to them, and invite the loner to sit with you at lunch. Invite that person to come to your birthday party, or invite them to come to homecoming with you. But yeah, teach your children to, and I'm not saying that this is a foolproof method, but teach your kids to welcome others into their social circles. There just shouldn't be any questions. If you see a kid who, others are teasing in class, invite that kid to come over to your house and hang out, or, I know kids now, like, it's totally different with like social media and stuff, but if there's a bad video of a girl going around, don't spread the video. Say it's wrong. Or if you see kids being teased at lunchtime because of their teeth or their clothes, teach your child to be the one that stands up to say, this isn't a joke, it's not funny. Because that can go a really long way. And, maybe it would avoid more stories like mine, where I think of high school and it makes me sick to my stomach because I hated high school. I can only imagine the pressure that kids are under now to wear a certain thing, or speak a certain way, or you're not cool. It sucks, and I don't know if it'll ever completely go away. I doubt it, but I do think that the environment that they are raised in and the lessons that they're taught can go very, very far, because I was always taught to not tease people and not be mean to the person who's sitting by themselves. Be nice to them, which is just ironic that it turned around and my experience was so shit. So either way, I've mentioned in other videos that for a very long time, I used to have nightmares of either being back in school or having nightmares of the first day of school again. And I would wake up and it would be like, thank God I only have to go to my day job. I was so happy to be done with school. I didn't want anything to do with college, A, because of the debt, but B, because I just got out of 4 years of misery in high school. What makes you think I want to go to that on a grandiose scale and do it all again just for a degree? No, thank you. I was already in the workforce, and, luckily I've done pretty well considering that I don't have a college degree. So I'm very grateful for that. So I wanted to, before I close out this video, I always try to say, what is the learning lesson with this? And when it comes to my high school experience, if I could go back and tell young Britt one thing, it would be that none of this is going to matter after 4 years. So even though you cannot stand waking up and going to school every day because you never know who's going to make fun of your teeth in front of your classmates, or who's going to yell something down the hall that's going to mortify you, none of this will matter. And all of these people who think that they're just on top of the world because they are cheerleaders or the most popular kid, they will be leading some very interesting lives, and their popularity in high school equals nothing to the content of their character as an adult, because I've realized that a lot of these people turn out to be the most miserable, boring ass people once we got out of high school and they, either went to college or didn't. So, none of it matters. Do your best. Do not retaliate. Do your best to make it through every day, and just remember that this will not matter. A part of me does wish, if I could go back in time, maybe I would have talked to a guidance counselor or a teacher about it. I never wanted to bother my dad with being worried about when I was at school, or my grandma. So I never expressed anything to them because I never wanted them to worry. But maybe I should have expressed my issues to a teacher or to a counselor, just to get it off of my chest and not carry it with me every day. But, none of it will matter. It's all going to be okay. And, I do think that because of my experience in high school, I am a little bit more vocal against people that are being mistreated. And I can see a clear difference now between telling someone what they're doing is wrong for a good reason and it being valid versus being jealous and just bullying people for no apparent reason. And like I said, it usually comes down to them being jealous of either, you know, something physical, something, you never know what people are jealous of, but it is sad to see adults act that way. But I have experienced it numerous times as an adult, and, you know, I am a little bit more, you know, the buck stops here when it comes to people mistreating me as an adult. So either way, let's close out this video. That's my high school experience. Please leave me a comment down below. Tell me about yours. Was yours sunshine and rainbows, or was yours similar to mine? Was it worse? Was it in between? I would love to hear from you guys. And, you know, it's just very ironic, my time in high school, how it ties down to, or it ties back to the way that adults act. It is very, very odd to me. In this social media age, cyberbullying is so prominent. It's alive and well. And, you know, the best thing to do is to not feed the bullies attention. I've learned that very quickly. You know, you don't need to respond to every hate comment or every criticism that's disguised, or every hate video that's disguised as something else or whatever. It's just not worth it. It is ironic how it sort of feels like a lot of people never grow out of their 16-year-old selves, and a lot of it is jealousy. And not specifically with me, but with a lot of people. When you see someone that toxic and that vile, most of the time it comes down to jealousy, but the bully will never admit that. So either way, that's my video for now. If you liked it, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.